Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're going to do Who is Better. And basically, if you haven't seen any of my Who is Better videos previously, we're going to take, in this case, two wrestlers, compare them in 8 different categories. Each category is rated on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. At the end, they will have a chance for bonus points, which we'll cover when we get there. With that being said, the topic for this week's Who is Better? Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page. Now let's jump right into it. Our first category, technical wrestling. This is basically your in-ring suplexes, submission holds, anything of that nature. We're going to start with Swerve Strickland. Swerve's going to get a 4. I think he's really good at this. I would put him at a high level. I wouldn't necessarily put him on the like Bryan Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. level, but he's up there with a 4. I think he's really good. For Hangman Adam Page, I'm going to go right with that. I think he's a 4 as well. The reason that these guys' feud has been so good is in a lot of ways they're very evenly matched and very much the antithesis of each other, and that's why it's working so well. So both of them get a 4 in this category. I think they're both really good. Next up is striking. It's basically your kicks, your clotheslines, all that kind of stuff. Swerve, we're going to give Swerve a 5. I think Swerve is awesome. We're talking about two guys that have finishers or setup moves or, signature moves that are all striking. So they're both going to rate really high. They look really good when they do that. Swerve's going to get a 5. I'm also going to give Hangman a 5. Like I said, these guys have striking moves as their finishers or as setup moves, and they both do it really well. It looks really believable. They're both getting a 5 in that category. Next category, how they perform as a heel. This is pretty simple, basically what their heel personas are like. And we're going to start again with Swerve. Swerve, I'm giving a 5. I think Swerve excels in that overconfident, cocky heel, almost to the point where being that good of a heel makes him a face again, but I think he just drips that overconfidence when he is a heel, and I think he's awesome at it. For Hangman, I'm going to give Hangman a 4. I don't know that we've actually seen a full-on heel Hangman. We've seen him do some heel tactics and lean more to the heel side, but if you think about it, is it really anything different than like a Stone Cold Steve Austin did? I do think when he leans into it, he is really good at it. I would like to see a full-on heel turn where it's not just him using heel tactics against Swerve, where he's a heel against the entire roster. I think that would be interesting. See how he handles that. But for now, he's getting a 4. Next up, we covered heels. How they do as baby faces. For Swerve, I'm giving Swerve a 4. I think Swerve excels, like I said, in the overly confident, I'm better than you attitude. And I think at times as a face, as much as the fans want to cheer him and as much as fans love him, I do feel like that character has a bit of a shelf life as a baby face, because you're always kind of wanting to turn back into a heel. So Swerve gets a 4 here. For Adam Page, Adam's getting a 5. I think there's been times in AEW where Hangman Adam Page was the best face in the company, specifically in his feud with Kenny Omega, at times during this feud. So yes, Hangman, he does really well at it. He's getting a 5. Next up, promos. This one's easy for Swerve. Swerve's getting a 5. I think Swerve is one of the absolute best talkers in AEW. I would put him right up there with Samoa Joe, MJF, Bryan Danielson, all the guys that are really good at it. He's right there in the mix. He's one of the better talkers they have. Adam Page, Adam's going to get a 4. Now, coming into this feud, I'd probably have rated him even lower than that. I probably would have gave him a 3. But this feud has brought something out of Hangman that we haven't seen previously. I'm hoping that he continues with this evolution, because this version of Hangman, to me, and this is coming from someone that's been an Adam Page fan for a long time, this version of Hangman is the best version of Hangman that I've seen. Next up, we're going to go with presentation, and basically this is your gear, your ring music, your special entrances, all of that fun stuff. For Swerve Strickland, Swerve's going to get a 4. As much as I love Swerve's house and I love Nana's dancing, I don't feel that other than the mean part of it, there's really anything special about his presentation. He's special. He makes it feel special, but the presentation itself, I don't think is that special. I'm not the biggest fan of his theme music. and I know it's music that he's done himself. It's not bad, but I think he needs something better for him, because in my mind, Swerve is a top guy, and that doesn't feel like top guy music, in my opinion. Now, going over to Hangman. Hangman's getting a 4 as well. There have been times where he probably deserved a 5, like when he came out on the horse, or the one time he came out with all of the Dark Order. But overall, I think Hangman Page's presentation isn't anything different than any other cowboy we've seen in wrestling. And for that, I can't say it's been great. I will say it's good, it does fit his character, but again, it doesn't feel anything different than, let's say, Barry Windham back in the day, or any number Bradshaw, any number of the cowboy type characters that they've had in wrestling. Next up, we're going to move into charisma. Swerve is getting a 5. I mean, this is pretty obvious. The guy could just stand there and he looks like a star. He doesn't even have to talk and you believe that he's a star. He has an aura about him. He has a presence to him that very few people have in wrestling and in real life either way. So he definitely gets a 5. He gets top notch. I think he's one of the best, one of the most charismatic wrestlers, not just in AEW, but in all of wrestling. Like I said, to me, he's a top tier talent. Hangman Page, Hangman's going to get a 4. I think there's times that Hangman slinks into the background a bit, particularly when dealing with his elite friends. And I don't know if it's that he defaults to his friends taking the lead in those cases, or he's intimidated by the guys that help bring him up the card. But for that, I can't really give him a 5, because I do feel there's times where he falls into the back. He falls into a secondary character, where someone like Swerve never feels like he's a secondary character in any feud he's in. He feels like he's the main guy. I don't think I'd ever consider Swerve an also-ran, where Hangman, there have been times I've considered him that. Now, coming into our last category, big game performers. Basically, this is your main events, your pay-per-view main events, the guys that are tasked with selling tickets. And yes, I know AEW, so before you even comment that AEW can't sell tickets, I understand. But going off of how they move the radar, basically, and with how they move the radar, when they're on that big stage, how do they perform? Do they shrink from the bright lights, or do they step it up? Are they Michael Jordan in Game 6, or are they Michael Jordan on the bullets? For Swerve, I'm giving Swerve a 5. Swerve has been involved in some of the most brutal and violent and impressive matches that AEW has had to offer. Whenever he's had a chance to be in the main event or in the title picture, whether it be in AEW or in Defy or anywhere else, he's brought his game to that level and rose above that level. So he definitely gets a 5 here. For Hangman, Hangman's also going to get a 5. If you think of the history of AEW and you think of some of the great matches in there, whether it be the matches against Swerve, the tag team match with him and Kenny versus the Young Bucks, and any other of the numerous matches that Hangman's had during his run, he's always a top tier guy, and he always brings his A game. For that, I'm giving him a 5. To me, before we total this up, these two are what I would say, and I know they're both not technically homegrown. To me, these are two of the 3 biggest stars that I would consider quote-unquote AEW originals, where they've had either limited exposure in WWE, like Swerve doing this thing in NXT and a very, very short run on SmackDown, or Hangman, he had New Japan and Ring of Honor stuff. The third, of course, would be MJF, who was really known mostly for MLW before coming into AEW. So those 3, I know they're technically not all homegrown, but they feel like the 3 guys that AEW has managed to bring in and make into main event stars that weren't main event stars before the company started. So these are 2 excellent examples of that. With that being said, let's roll into the totals. Swerve Strickland gets a 37. Hangman Adam Page gets 35. Now we're going to go to the bonus. If you haven't seen my videos before, every Wednesday I put up basically a preview for the upcoming week's Who Is Better with the poll, and I put that on the community page of my YouTube channel. So pay attention to the community page if you want to vote in that. With that, you have a chance to rein in 5 extra points, which could totally swing the outcome, especially like this where it's within 2 points. In this case, the 5 bonus points went to Swerve. Swerve solidifies his win. With over 400 people voting, thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. This was very close. And I'm so happy to highlight people like these two, because I think there's a lot of negativity about AEW, especially right now. And I'd like to point out some of the positives. And these are 2 of the positives of the company. Definitely 2 of the guys that make the company what it is. I absolutely love covering them. I'm not as surprised that Swerve won, because to me, even before going in and breaking it down, I think these 2 guys could have one of those feuds that goes on forever. I've seen a lot of people compare it to The Rock and Steve Austin, or to Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. And I get the comparison, and a lot of people automatically see that and go, neither one of them is pipe down. The reason for that is it's a main level feud that keeps going and going and going, and can be revisited at any time. They could drop this feud and 6 months from now come back to it and pick right up with the animosity, and that's what people mean when they compare the 2. So basically, that's who we have winning it here. Swerve Strickland is the winner. As we normally do, I'm going to give a bit of a spoiler for next week's Who is Better, and pay attention to the community page so you could vote on that, so you could get your favorite an extra bonus 5 points. I'm going to give 2 hints here. On my last one, we had some recommendations from Gunner 101ism, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. It's so hard reading off people's YouTube names and seeing what they actually mean. I hope that's right. Gunner 101ism gave a few different suggestions. We picked one of those, and it's probably going to be more obvious from what I say next than saying that. The 2 men that we're going to put up next week to see who is better were involved in a custody battle at one point. So keep your eyes open for that poll on my community page. Make sure to vote. Make sure while you're here on this video, smash the like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. Click that join button. If you click the join button, you can become a member. Becoming a member definitely helps me out. I want to say thank you to everybody. This year has been a year of tremendous growth on my channel personally. I've been doing this for over a decade now, and I've gained more new subscribers this year than the rest of my time on YouTube combined, so I really thank everybody. I know a lot of it has to do with the shorts that I'm putting out, which I appreciate that you guys like those. But anyway, I digress. Keep paying attention to the community page. Get in on the vote. Let me know down here, maybe like Gunnerism, you'll be able to see a suggestion you have, make one of these. There are times where I have a little bit of a brain block. But with all that being said, my name is George Coles, and you've been watching Who is Better.